you ready for some soccer? So let's do it.
Welcome, St. Louis. What's up, soccer world? Welcome back to another episode of Top Corner Talk, St. Louis City podcast. There's been a lot of things that have come up in the past 48 hours, and I have my good friends Jeremy and Oscar to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and according to today, the uglier side of sports. So, fellas, it's funny for me to ask, but how are you guys feeling?
Oscar, kick us
Not
off.
all at once.
Oh, you're muted. The fan got muted.
I'm
Can you
muted.
go back
Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm here. There you go. Hey, we have new platform, so I'm still learning. Oh, like a little baby. Okay. I feel good. I feel good. I think like I said this before. I asked for it before. Um, and I was not too far off. I was either before the transfer window or right after that transfer window. So um, I would have preferred to use this transfer window more wisely, but at the same time, we did get a few players that are good that we have good hopes, and some of them they're already showing good things. So I'm not that upset on that end. But after closing this transfer window and not having the big moves that maybe we were all expecting, especially opening two roster spots, kind of like did something that I was not shocked to see it, but at the same time, like I'm glad that they actually pulled the trigger. Now it just next step is what the club's gonna do and how fast they're gonna do it, because we can't just wait 6 more months and then get something in a rush. We have to get going right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've got a timeline. We can get into the timeline and what was shared by the Post Dispatch in just a little bit. I think initial reaction. I'm gonna say surprise. I don't think I know I did not expect this news today, guys. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, the result in Vancouver wasn't great, but it felt like there was so much drama around that result. Like overall, the performance wasn't the best. We had a great first half. Second half, we fell off. I know a lot of attention was paid to Lutz talking to Thomas Mueller after the game. A lot got made of that on social media, especially early on Sunday morning. But I'm surprised. I do think, to your point, Oscar, if they were going to part with Lutz, I think it had to be now, because you can't go into the offseason with a sporting director and no coach. You have to have a plan, and they do. I hope what we heard from Diego Gigliani via the Post Dispatch is accurate, and we have a plan. But yeah, it was a surprise in the time. It was a surprise that, to me, if they're going to say it was because Vancouver and we lost in Vancouver, that wouldn't make sense. I think there's other things going on, guys. But when you take a step back and you look at all of the results and how bad we've been for how long in a results business, when it's this sustained, we've already changed coaches twice. That didn't fix it. So maybe it's time to make a change.
Yeah, so I think it was definitely a big surprise. I think for me the biggest surprise was that it was done now, because if you were still had like, questions on if he was going to stay or not, maybe that's when you want to do that prior to the transfer window, so at least you can have a little bit of a different conversation with any potential new players or coaches then, because now that window closes now. So what it's left is you've now giving additional people from the team that have had a lot of work, aka hack. Now he has another job on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
When last year we were saying that he had too much on his plate, that's why he couldn't be the head coach. but now we just give him even bigger job. Now he's what, coaching director, CD2 coach, now interim sporting director slash the guy that knows everybody in US soccer.
Yeah. It's interesting to think that if Hack was so okay, so let me play devil's advocate for a second, right? I know he was appointed City 2 coach before, but if the whole reason he couldn't take the first team job was because he's too important to the transfer window, and if they're planning to change sporting directors anyway, it doesn't make sense to me, at least, that you just don't go and give if you're going to give Hack this position and this role, just do it then. I doesn't make sense because I don't feel like maybe unless the Falu Fall deal, which I'm really happy with the deal. I like him as a player. I think he's going to be a great fit for us, but I don't know if I feel that Lutz is crucial to that role, to that job getting done and that contract getting done. So I don't know. I question the timing again.
Yeah, timing was interesting.
But what are you questioning the timing? Like were you wanting to give him like more time to like, because
no.
we go to January and then what he always says like he's not gonna do that much in the winter. So like, are we gonna start another season where we don't have really a clue what we're gonna do again? Like I just don't see why he should have stayed longer. I think he stayed a month and a half longer than he should have.
Well, so I guess like I'm saying, I'm questioning the timing in that. Does it make sense to let him go through the transfer window and get that business done? If Hack is so crucial that he can't take over the first team again, why did Lutz stay through the window? Why not let him go before the window? Because let's be honest about it. The season was done before the window even opened. And while I'm happy with the way the window went for the most part, there's still, as you pointed out, way too much to be done. So I don't know what we gained by keeping Lutz through the window if this was the plan all along, because I don't think they just woke up today and said, oh, we're firing Lutz. To me, this was something they've planned.
I think that they didn't have the plan. I think they gave him this transfer when they say like, hey, if we get something going good, then we'll have a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think at the end of this transfer window was enough. Falu is a promising player, but we can't evaluate it yet. Like, he played one game. The second game was a sub. Inexplicable, first of all, because I don't know why after such a great performance in the first game, then he doesn't start the next game. But that's topic for another conversation. And then third game, he doesn't even travel because X and Y reasons. That's another topic for another conversation. So, so we have Foul. Okay, we can evaluate that. Then we go and say Sambing, and Paddleford. So I think they're both good players. They're not amazing players. I think they're good players to have depth, that they have quality, that they can bring good qualities to the team, like specific qualities. Like we've seen it with Paddleford, that he can do the long throw-ins and join the attack and being solid on defense. Like those kind of combinations. And then we see Sam Bing, that he shows us that he's a freaking Speedy Gonzalez, that he can take people on a run and leave them behind. So great. And we were missing those type of special skills, but is it enough? And I think that's what the club ended up having evaluation on. Was it enough? Did Lutz do what we wanted him to do this transfer window? And I think that's where they start having those conversations. And then I will add that after all this and this horrible ending of Vancouver game, the reaction that everybody have seen and everybody got upset as a fan, it doesn't look good as you as a owner of the club, as president of the club, And even I've heard from someone today that not even on the coaching staff was taken very well, seeing Lutz laughing, even if it was sarcastic or not, but having such a nice conversation with Mueller uh, after a game where you lost in the last minute with that controversial call. You should be pissed off. You should be, if this, like, don't get me wrong, but if this was South America, that team would have created a brawl for that call. They would have been all on top of each other, getting pissed off, getting mad because the way that you lost that game. And then you see this, and they're all laughing and hugging and shaking hands, and I'm like, you guys don't give a damn about what the real thing is, right? Like, you guys don't care about the results. It's just like, we go play. If we win, great. If we lose, whatever. Well, I'm just gonna go and hug my friend. That doesn't seem right.
I'm of two minds about it. Like, I get the frustration and but I think I guess what I would think is Lutz is he's like the business side, the front office side of your team on the road, right? So I don't know what's to gain by him instigating an argument or a confrontation with Thomas Mueller on the pitch in that moment. Is now, if he wants to have a go with the officials, by all means, that's fine. But because I guess my feeling is, like, I don't hold ill will. I'm more pissed off at Laborda for diving in the freaking box than I am for Mueller putting it in the goal. Like, he's not going to miss the penalty. I'm not. Go ahead.
So, yeah. So I'll tell you this. That's fine. I'm not telling him go and fight with Miller. You don't have to.
Okay.
I mean, Miller doesn't have. It's not his fault that they call that foul, but you can do your chatty and your hugging and your laughing inside, but there are not cameras. You can do all that, but when you're on the field and doing on camera, just show respect to your fan base. Like, sure, every single fan in city was pissed off on Saturday after that call. So why would you go on and smile out like, yeah, it's fine? Like, no. And my other issue with what I had with Luz, and I'm sorry I'm taking a lot of the conversation, but
No, go ahead.
It's, I don't know what he's always doing on the field. I've never seen a sporting director that gets so much attention, getting down on the field every single game. He should just be in his box. That's his job. Be on the box, take care of the business over there. The field is not. I've never seen a sporting director going down on the field every single game to create a reaction.
Or maybe that's just the way I guess he does. Because isn't it the Watford owner in the APL? He's on this sideline quite often. He even got caught arguing with his head coach.
With his coach.
Yeah. So I think it's probably one of those. I'm thinking, as you know, the moment City, Lutz was almost like the face of City outside of, the Burke and others. He's probably one of the most. He was one of the most visual sporting director, I guess I'll say. So maybe that's. Well, I think that was just his character on that part. I think the whole discussion of having players and how if they're smiling and fighting, I think that one it's like a tricky situation, right? You see that your countrymen they have some of those discussions. That's why a lot of professionals, cover their mouth because they don't want to be seen having those chit chats. To be honest, I saw Berkey was smiling when he was talking to Mueller on the field too. Um, so there was those situations to where I think a lot of them maybe what we've been accustomed to, Oscar, that we've seen before, where that that view of things kind of changed in soccer in general, right? Because before you could see where players were not exchanging jerseys in the middle of the field.
Mhm.
That was in the locker room, right? After they changed locker room, you see the pictures is in behind a white background because it was behind closed door. Now it became so social media driven that there's a camera everywhere,
Mhm.
where before we used to not see those things. And I think Mueller was sort of those situations to where they've all seen it's their countryman. Berkey played against him. It I think the Royce, they were doing the exact same thing. So
Yeah, but
it's one of those
but
weird
you
things that happens now.
do you see? But because yes, he's a big guy. Like Mueller is recognized worldwide. Like yes, like
Yeah,
I
it's
understand
it's a
the
goat. Yeah,
situation where you want to be, and if your friends like you have share the pitch multiple times, like with Berkey and everything. But I understand the right reaction if at the end of the Vancouver game you lost or we lost where a very fought game and everything was fair and everything was good, just like they were the better team or they scored a better goal or whatever. Or we got smoked and we lost 6-0 and it's like, okay, whatever. Like you there's nothing to really be pissed off about it
right.
other than your performance. But I think that the situational that happened, it should have been that every single player should have been very mad at them and at everybody around the pitch,
Those guys
everything.
are
Like it
not
should
built
be
like
just
that.
like coaches. So like, hey, we're talking in the locker room or something like, but
Yeah,
we're mad. Like this is unfair. This is something, and no player showed it.
they're not built like that.
I didn't see
Well,
No,
anybody on
they're
cameras that they were showing that they were mad.
they're
The only
they.
one that I saw was Critchley that was so mad.
Yeah,
And then the coach from Vancouver was like, "Hey, it was
mm,
not me. I
yeah, we
didn't make the
also.
call. I
yeah.
didn't do anything." Like it was just
I,
like, "Don't blame me."
No, no,
so so hold on. So let's talk about that. But before we get to that, I want to say one thing. One thing I would say is I do think that Lutz was aware of the optics of the situation, and I can say confidently that I know he was pissed. He
yeah,
he was fired up about the officiating, and I think fans, if he would have gotten to do his weekly spot on KMOX on Sports on a Sunday, they would have heard it. But unfortunately, that show got preempted for the Cardinals game, so he didn't get to do anything, and he's not going to go on social media. That's the only defense I will say that I know Lutz was mad. But here's what I'm going to say to the point about this conversation with the coaches and the players. So here's what I'm going to say. I want to be a little careful on how I say it, but I can't really phrase it any better. I don't think the players are playing for anything other than pride right now. They're not fighting for the playoffs. They're not fighting for that. So yeah, yes, they're going to be competitive, but I don't think they're going to be fired up enough in a season in a game that really ultimately at this point is just another game for them. And it's is it a mentality issue? Maybe, but hello, but I don't expect them to be fired up. Critchley is pissed because Critchley is still auditioning for a full-time gig as the coach. So of course he's got something to fight for. Do the players, other than pride, not so much. Berkey did call it a joke
yeah.
several times after the game. He's probably got a couple fines coming his way that the club better pay for the man because he did what everybody else should have done publicly, calling it a joke. But yeah, I'm not
I,
as I don't know.
yeah,
Am,
those
am I
players,
crazy for thinking this?
they're just not built like that. It. I think it's just the characters that we have in the team. They're not built like that. We know who are the players that would have done that, and I don't think. I think
I don't
wasn't
know.
it like this the Seattle guy? I think from the last game I saw where he got a yellow card and he was so mad he stood
Mhm.
up straight to the ref and he got a red card. I don't we don't have that here. So
Well,
I was not surprised that they did not start like Armageddon. But the question, what I would have liked to see is that knowing that the players probably will not speak up of that,
mhm.
that's when you have your ownership or you have the top brass that says anything that's coming your way, we have your back.
Yeah.
This was not it. But at the same time, we know it's an MLS thing where everybody getting a cut from the franchise. So if Mueller is being successful, guess what? All the owners win as well.
Mhm.
And you saw that Mueller got put into the match week lineup because of the winner, right? Just
Of
like
course.
the LAFC with Son on there, right? So they're two biggest stars that just came in the MLS on the same weekend have winning goals, and it's plastered everywhere. So for the MLS and unfortunately even the owners themselves all across the board, it's a win-win situation. So I
I
think
mean,
so
you're
that's
not wrong.
where it does not look good whatsoever because you
Mhm.
saw how they were promoting the goals even though there was all that thing happening behind. They were
Mhm.
still posting everything even though everybody was blasting them. 99.9% of the people we've saw online were saying either it was a soft foul or the caution of not be made. It became a bigger circus.
Mhm.
And like some of those conspiracy folks is like it's quite interesting that the same time where there's this whole PK fiasco happening, the same day or the day after, now the sporting director is out.
Mhm.
Is it something trying to kind of derive move a little bit of that discussion from the controversy to a new story?
Uh, I mean,
That's
but what's to gain by doing? There's I don't know. There's nothing to gain there. I guess from
well,
and
we're talking about Lutz being fired versus what happened on Saturday.
well, but okay. So so are you suggesting that basically the league said, "Hey, do something to deflect," basically, and they know that this
I don't know
takes
if they
our focus off
hopefully
of
they
it?
wouldn't go directly said, but I don't know that the timing of these things is very that raises a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And then plus we don't know, did Lutz start fire on behind closed door on this?
I I don't know. I think here's one thing you said real quickly. You mentioned you don't think we have the players to fight. I'm going to argue that because if you go back to Philadelphia, who wanted to fight Bradley Carnell? Zhao Klaus. If you go back to Kansas City, did they not want to fight the Kansas City players who were taunting us then? A few weeks ago at home against was it Minnesota? I don't remember. I think it was Minnesota where the guy was taunting the fans and they came and pulled him away.
Yeah,
And Berkey started it.
but that's player to player. Did anyone go to the referee?
No, no, that's fair. Which you see that all the time in Europe. Like that.
Yeah.
How many times after a game have you seen a clip of a player or a coach getting sent off after a game like that?
Yeah.
Because if I mean, I know Critchley's not going to get a card,
No.
but if there was ever going to be a moment to endear that man to these fans forever, go get a red card after that game because I would have.
Yeah, and that's where you
Yeah.
and that's when it comes and say, hey, it's quite obvious, right? And the rules are starting to show up more and more. You're starting to see more people talk about, even though we'll go into the game, but you're starting to see some of the discussions of what's happening. We have rivals backing us up, which is
Yeah.
weird to see.
Yeah.
So, but talking about the Lutz parts, right? So we can close that
Yeah.
part. Um, so how confident are you guys with the top brass now being able to, one, get a sporting director, and then two, get a coach? And will they be able to use the roster that we have now? Or is it because everybody is almost out of contract except a handful of players that says, hey, brand new coach, you almost have a clean slate starting next year?
So, so two things. One, I think for Lutz it comes down to I'm just real quickly tell you because I'm curious what you guys think. The tipping point for Lutz was I think it's the transfer window because he didn't. I think there was something. I think they wanted more another player brought in and something didn't happen. I also think it's down to results. Ben Wright from Backheeled. I wanna share what he wrote. So City since since their first 34 games, City have played 61 games, earning just 58 points. We have the third worst expected goal difference since 2013 in all of MLS, and the only team that had fewer points per game since 2013 than City does in their last 61 was Chivas USA, who are now defunct and I believe rebranded as LAFC. So something had to give. To your question, Mo, I'm not super confident, to be completely honest. I think some of it is still related to the fact that we hired Olaf Melberg. We saw how that went. So now you have a more important hire to bring in. So if you're going to go outside the organization, I'm very worried about what that's going to look like and who that's going to be. There's questions. And as far as the roster goes, I'm thinking you're going to see 40% turnover on that roster, with the supplemental roster basically being cleared at the end of the season. I think it's 18 total contracts that are up. Yes, we're going to have some familiar faces, the Klauses and the Hartles and the Luvens will be back, but you don't know who your keeper is going to be. There's going to be a lot of turnover. So, and a new coach. So no, I'm not extremely confident, but they're planning, according to the Post-Dispatch, to have both positions filled by the time camp opens. They're going to hire a sporting director first and then have that sporting director assist with the head coaching search, according to the Post-Dispatch.
Hopefully, it will be more than just assist, because the
Yeah.
sporting director will.
I mean, sporting director needs to be filled in the next month, in my opinion. I think the sporting director needs to start working as soon as possible. Start working with the team that they have right now. You have to evaluate who are gonna keep, who they're gonna sell, how they're gonna do all those trades. So I think that's gonna be the main thing. Um, and then if they can find a coach before the season ends, will be great. So they can actually start working with the team. But I don't foresee that happening. I think they're gonna wait until January and do kind of like the same thing they did this year. Hopefully, it doesn't come back and bite us in the you know what. But and that's what, like, I feel like this decision was actually good to make it right now. It just because it gives it enough time to sort both positions out before camp starts going, and then you don't have any idea who you're gonna bring or what you're gonna do in that winter season, in the window.
Man, I want to say keep it internal. That uh, I'm starting to have a feeling maybe internal might be something to help bring the what city culture is, and maybe see if we can kind of build off of that first. Because unless you can get
But what is the city culture though? Because
well,
everything
if
was
you
built according to what Lutz wanted.
but if you watch City 2, they're pretty much doing what originally City was supposed to be like. Um, and I'm thinking the last two seasons almost felt like we had to win so badly because of the first season was going well that we almost pushed aside a lot of what we inspired to do from the very beginning. Like, who is our homegrown that's actually making a stride in the first team compared to the first season? Like, it's brand new players that have something to prove. Um, it's supposed to be the blue collar team, hardworking and all that. You don't really see that at this moment.
Because in some point, or after the first two transfer windows, I think Lutz lost the reins and lost the ways that he wanted to. I think everything that he was bringing was not very complementing what the team had and what the style that he wanted to be played. Because you like we all at the beginning said like, oh, we want fast counterattacks and high press, right? And we had Stroud, we had Giacchini, we had Darren, like all those were workhorses. Like they would run and run and run and run and press. And then we changed for more talent, but at the same time we changed for Hartel doesn't press that much. Twitcher doesn't press that much. At least now, like the first 4 5 games they were all running and scoring and doing all that. But right now, like they don't. Um Better pressure is not effective. Like all those kind of things. So like you start bringing new players, but you were start getting out of that idea, but thinking that you were actually bringing the idea back.
Yep.
So I just feel like that went away from the city style, but at the same time, what's the city style? So like that's like my biggest concern is like, are you gonna still try to be the city style, and what that means? Because yes, you say city two, but I mean, yes, city two has been um successful. He has been consistent, but you also have a bunch of kids that they want to run and run and run. And what I always tell everybody, just hold your brakes a little bit because still MLX Next Pro is a third tier league.
Yeah, and when I mentioned like the
So
CD
just
two part,
don't over say like, oh my god, like this is the way because
no,
it's just a third tier league. Let's just
I think it's more
hold the
of like
brakes a
the,
little bit. It's great that they do good.
but I think it's more of like setting aside the score and the streak and all that. Just watching them play, it almost reminds you a little bit more of what we used to say, the Red Bull or whatever, style of play, and like the connection that those guys are playing looks a lot more fluid than what we enjoyed originally, than what it is now, when it's a slow paced and that it's one or two guy doing a lot more of the work. Like, how we were saying we needed CDMs for CD type of style of play, but you cannot name any of them in the first team, right? But if you go in CD2, there's a guy, Seth Antwi, that usually do not get all the recognition that he deserved. But like as a CDM, he's literally doing all the dirty work that he's supposed to be doing, so that the Makai Joyner and the Miguel Perez are able to score and do all of the beautiful things that they're currently doing. Does it not kind of remind you of some people where he had Bloom and Vasilev and all of those guys doing the hard work, when the other guy were getting the praises because they were scoring a lot of goals, but it was guys that were doing the dirty work. At this moment here, can you name one person outside of Morales that is willing to do the dirty work in the midfield and then just hand
Yeah.
it over
Uh,
and continue? And, and
no, they
yeah,
all want to play and they all want to go up and they all want to score and they be the greatest in doing the fancy play or whatever. Um, and yeah, I do agree. I do like to watch the CD2 games in that end because they're actually the movement of the ball is quick,
right.
is consistent, connections, triangles are good, all the types of soccer moves where you want to see. And yes, I think like we used to see that on the first games of City in 2023 was when Stroud, Lewin, Ostrak, Basilev, they used to connect, and they were just like a one touch sequence where everybody was talking at one touch and moving the ball and pass, like no dribbling, not trying to do any fakes or anything like fancy. It was just like one touch is moving the ball quicker. And definitely we're missing that. If that's our style, I'm okay with, but then you have to, like you say, bring the players that they can do that. That they're not the ones that they want to start dribbling everybody and go around them. They want to be the collective players, and we don't have those players right now.
So I guess the question I have for you guys, I've been sitting here trying to find the quote, but I can't quite find the exact quote. Matt Baker mentioned it on Flyover Footy. It was about the way the club is going to go from here, because there was Matt referenced a quote from Diego that were basically going to build on what the foundation that Lutz established in terms of culture, in terms of play style, in terms of our high press, our high energy, that kind of energy drink soccer that we're known for. But and then Paul Tenorio from the Athletic did have a mention that basically Diego said, and I quote, that you're at the end of a 5-year cycle under Pfannenstiel. The poor results in the past 2 years are a sign that the club is in need of a new vision for the next iteration of its growth. So the question I have for you two gentlemen, does that mean we're going to see a change in style, or do we think we're just going to see another tweak? Are we going to completely blow it up, or are we going to just tweak it again like we did? Because that was the thing is Carnell played a 4-2-3-1. Hack came in, tweaked it. We switched under Melberg. We brought in Critch. He's right back to the 4-2-3-1 his way. So what are we expecting? Or is it too early to say because we don't even know who the coach or sporting director are?
I personally would like to see it change a little bit. Not because I don't want a full overhaul of, hey, let's get a new style of play. I do want a more complementary style of play. Is that being said is that have more than one idea. Have more than one, like, hey, we press high, we run hard, and that's what we do. Now, I think and you can see it with CD2. Going back to that is that they do press high, they do run hard, but when it comes to the point to keep possession, they're good at it. They can keep the possession of the ball without having to be very dangerous on the top, but having a constantly moving the ball to find spaces. And then they find the spaces. Like they break through 5, 6 passes and then go long in the open space and then attack. We don't see that on City on the main team. It's a slow pace all the time when we have the ball, and if we get to play in a counter attack for X or Y reason, that means we should be winning to do that. It's not as fast, it's not as clean as it should be. So like I want a mix. I don't want that we just depend on one style, and I think that will need like a lot of new players and a coach that he will have a different style. I think Critchley, even though he was the one who built the city too, he's still going more towards like the same style of playing. And I can be wrong. I don't know. Like I feel like he's still having that frantic style of play that we want to go fast and fast and fast and not be creative with the ball. Even though like we have been playing a little bit better in the front.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical about the whole changing so much because this is not Europe or the rest of the world where it's a free fall where you change ownership or you change coaches and the coach can say, hey, here's my want list. And if you can give me 3 or 4 of these players, I will be happy. Fortunately, MLS teams cannot do that. Um, and then the question is, if people are really wanting that much changes, are they also willing to suffer another season to see these changes being made? Because changes that are being made does not mean it's going to be pretty. Changes comes with a lot behind it. And, for us, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United fans, we know what transition looks like. And that means a lot of people out, a lot of new people in, and the culture has to be changed. So my question will be for everybody else is if you want a new sporting director, a new coach, a new system, do you have the guts to wait another year or two?
Well, that's a great question for the ownership group because if you see suffering, you know what's going to happen to ticket sales, right? Like that's what you would expect. Another bad, another rough year, people not re-upping for season tickets, all those things. So, I think my question for you guys, and Oscar, you can answer Mel's question too. Sorry but I thought about it. If we just said, you know what, we know what fits our system, we have Hackworth, and let's say we appoint Hack as sporting director, Critch as head coach. Would that be good enough for you guys?
You know what? If that's what it will take for they all doing 1 year contracts, right?
But I have no idea.
So
I'm not in the room
no,
negotiating.
but yeah, what I'm saying, so if it's Grealish is like he's the current coach, right? You say you're getting a 1 year contract and it's a renewal, per year and see how well you're doing. But in the meantime, you still have maybe your want list of people. So at least there's not much of a transition compared to, hey, you're fired here, who's coming in to replace you? Because clearly we saw what happens when we just picked a brand new coach and who decided to do a different system and did not appreciate the players he currently had. Um, but at this point, where do you go and find yourself? It's brand new sporting. I I cannot see unless you have a MLS experienced sporting director
Mhm.
that was already successful somewhere else and that you can poach that person to come, then you will still have someone that's probably will have to learn from MLS. I mean, and that will be very expensive for a
Yeah.
non-player.
Mhm.
I I think like Hawkworth is a really good choice for a sporting director.
He knows
He's
everybody.
I mean, you said it. He knows. I mean, he knows everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he knows the U.S. soccer in all of his extent, and he obviously has to have some experience in the MLS and how do those things are managed. And I think he has already that. The Critch idea, I'm not fully in yet because yes, we have played good games, but we also go on in the next game we don't. Like so, he's very inconsistent of what his performances as a coach or like how his team performs. Um, so I just don't I can't get on board of Critch as what is have shown right now. I would prefer having someone else that has a little more pedigree on the professional first tier environment.
Mhm.
Um, Preferably if it was an MLS for sure. But I mean, I wouldn't close the door to getting someone else that just have experience somewhere else. But if it's a first tier coach, not all of types coach, like we need something that has have experience. Um, and my other thought on all this, and I haven't mentioned in is that hopefully, even that we're gonna keep our city style, city mentality, city whatever, I do hope that the next head in charge of the sporting director, even his hardware, whoever it will be, actually looks in all markets and especially on the South American market that we have discussed many times that any MLS successful team has had many South Americans leading the charge. And we are the only ones who we don't have, and we don't try to get them until now. So hopefully that changes.
We knew that
Uh,
was coming, Oscar.
no, so So actually, Oscar, I
What do you
think
think
I
I'm
have
wearing
a
this?
Oscar. I think
Uh-huh.
I have a quote for you. This was Diego in The Athletic speaking about the global game, saying, "I'd like to assume that changes it will bring more correlation between spin and performance." But then he says it will MLS will start looking more like a lot of those South American or European leagues where you can think long term, make the right directions decisions rather, find the right talent and get the right building blocks to build your organization. And they will be as important here as any of the other European or Latin American teams. So we'll be open to both international and MLS profiles for a sporting director. So it sounds like, if that's to be believed, they're not against looking outside of the MLS, and it does sound like to an extent maybe there was some internal frustration with where we were doing the bulk of our scouting. Reading between the lines and speculating a little bit. But I do have one question for both of you. Diego called this the end of a 5-year cycle. And he said in the press release that, or to the Athletic, that we are now starting the next 5-year cycle. That to me means they might not have ambitions to be winning next season. They realize this is a project. So to your earlier question, Mo, what do you read, or how do you interpret what he's saying about needing a 5-year plan? And will St. Louis fans be patient enough, and the front office be patient enough to give a new manager time if you have a 5-year plan?
uh, when you have a plan like this, it's
I missed the last of the question.
Oh, so well, I think the biggest question is Diego. So Diego's talking about this now being the start of the second 5-year plan that would take us into 2030. I think my big question for you, Oscar, if this is a 5-year plan, that means they're committed to giving it time because they don't know that they're going to win right away. Will the front office be patient enough, and can they afford to be patient enough to let the coach have time, as in multiple windows, to rebuild this roster for whatever they're going to play? Or will they pull the trigger again on Olaf like they did with Olaf 15 games in?
it's not the ownership that I'm worried about.
Oh, what are you worried about then?
For them, patience, it's St. Louis fans.
Fair.
I, I mean, at this point, what they will, especially with the precedents that we now have, multiple coaches, non-sporting directors, and all that, the next people that will be coming in the front office will probably, in their deals or discussion, will have to have, put a few things in there that would make them comfortable enough to know that they will be given all of the resources and everything they need to do their job well. They will have to, you know, give up some of those reins. And I think that was one. I think I forgot who brought this up, where Lutz was the person that was directly to Caroline, but now he had the middle person. See, all of those things kind of add more to those discussions and what's feasible or not. But I don't know. We can ask chat, like, if all of these changes happen, and are they also willing to give time to the new coach, whoever that coach is, to build what the team that they want it to look like so it can be successful. Because after 5 years, it's a
I think
franchise team,
someone
of course. I think there was a
I
quote
think
that you
someone in the
shared
chat already
already,
said
right?
some.
I think, Jeremy, you shared something online where you said, they think that the last franchise that would came in, I think none of them lasted 4 or 5
Oh,
years.
it was no, yeah, it was from a gentleman I follow on Blue Sky. So 4 of the last 6 expansion teams, excluding San Diego, but have fired their sporting director or someone in the equal role within the first 3 years. So this is seemingly standard practice for new clubs. I mean, think about it. Cincinnati did the same thing. They hired Albright, and now they're in contention every season. So
Yeah.
we just got to find the right guy.
It looks like it's the building block is there now. The architect built what was capable of. and knowing that maybe don't have as much experience as others. So it's like, here's what we've built. So now run with the rest. Because I don't think there's many people that could say I've put a club and a culture from scratch. It's much easier when it's built.
Yeah. I mean, I to answer your question, Jeremy, in my opinion is, it can be. I think the fans will wait. If I think Ryan or someone else in the chat put it already. If you see progress, if you see developing on the ideas or where the club is moving to, or going to. Um, you mentioned Cincinnati. I think like Cincinnati after the new build up of their team, like they start showing real options and real future and their performances, even if they were either they didn't make it to playoff or whatever it is. And like if you one thing, if you don't make it to playoff in MLS, it's because you're really not having a good season and you're not progressing, especially on the West. uh,
That's fair.
on the East, I'll tell you is a little bit more challenged normally, but on the West, I mean, you always have your slackers. And right now, like this year for everybody was kind of easy because you had LA performing poorly, and then obviously St. Louis performing poorly. So you have two teams already that they're out of contention, and then you can add Sporting KC to that as well.
Who?
So that's three, and then you just have what, three more than they're challenging playoff that they're out. So it's not too much. So if you go next year and you should be in challenging positions to playoff all all this time until like right now, September. If you miss the cut of playoff from September to playoff time, it's okay. In my opinion, it's okay. You were challenging. You were getting there, and then for X or Y reason, you had a couple games or something, and you just or everybody was getting better, and it is what it is in that point. Not everybody qualifies, so somebody has to stay out.
Yeah.
But if you have another season like the last year and this year, that when you're hitting May and June and you're already basically eliminated from playoff, that's not okay. So that's the parts where coaches are getting kicked out is because how bad the beginning was. And
So
I mean they're gonna try to make sure that those don't happen anymore, but there's always a chance. I do not think that the team itself is saying, "Hey, we're gonna have a 5-year plan because the 5 year is the goal. Then in the fifth year we're gonna be good." No, it's more of like give yourself wiggle room in case like your big changes don't turn out well the first year. Then at least we'll have a wiggle room to say, "Hey, we're still growing, and it will take us a little bit more." But they're gonna still try to be competitors to next year. It's not bad. There's no doubt that they're one to be competitive next year. I wouldn't think that it's just saying give us 5 more years and we'll see if we actually made a good project.
and that's fair. I mean, I guess I'm just concerned about. And again, speaking as a United fan, where we change managers every like 2 years, I don't want to get into this and say, okay, this is a 5-year plan. We're building the roster. We've hired the wrong coach, and then be stuck in this like repeated cycle of 15 games we suck. Fire the coach. Another 15 games we're not going with the interim. Now we're gonna, I just want stability. I think is my thing. And to your point,
And
like,
I mean, it can
go ahead.
happen, but like for example, like I'll tell you, my team in Colombia, I think they were not having very good seasons 2 years ago, last year, and this year they got a brand new coach, It's starting in January, and they're champions. Like they already turned champions this in the half season, and they're doing very well this season as well. It's just like it depends how much work and how much you let your coach build the project, and how much you let the decisions going towards like what you want your team to look. And if you're letting your coach having more of that decision making, then it will be most likely successful, instead of like what it was happening, that it was more Lutz is telling you what you're gonna have, and then build around what I'm giving you. So it can be done. I'm positive, thinking that if right now we stay with hard work, and whoever's the coach, even if it's Chris, I'm actually positive to think that we will be competitive next year, just because of now it will change the environment of how you're building a team, how you want the team to get to challenging areas.
I'm I'm really just trying to think about what this team is going to look like next season. I know weeks ago we did an exercise with all four of us, I think, where we kind of talked through the roster and what it was going to look like, but there's just so much change. Uh, it's going to be really interesting to see, and I don't know. Do you think we'll stick with a guy that wants to play a four in the back, or do we look at another like three in the back system now that we've got, if healthy, Kessler, Baumgartel, and Fall could be three really, really strong guys to lead a back line if we're going to continue playing this pressing system that leaves us exposed, and having three center backs gives us additional coverage. There's so many questions about the future of this team.
Yeah, I think probably the other question will be how healthy this team can stay.
Well, and I think the question for that is like, who gets the blame for that? Who's the person to blame? Is it the front office? Is it the physio staff? Is it the players for not taking care of themselves? Um, that's what is interesting to me.
All the above.
And
Because
and I mean, players like
yeah,
we have said every single thing but players, and I think players have to start getting into more committed positions where in terms to like recovery times and all that. Like obviously we don't live with them, we don't do every single move that we don't know every single move that they do, but um it just they have to start caring. And one of the things that we it comes around in all different topics is that I don't feel these players care that much about their being here. They don't care, like when they're on the field, they don't have that pride of defending the colors, defending your teammates. We have mentioned that. That connects to, if you don't have that much pride on your club, then you're not doing really the full professional behavior, where if you are feeling that you're tired and you have overload of work, you gotta do your rehabs. You gotta go and do an extra rehab, because if you want to stay healthy, I don't think these players do that. I think in some point it just, oh, I don't care. Like our season is done, or like whatever, we're not having good results. I don't care. I'm not gonna do the extra job. And
yeah,
and and the other step is like, on the games itself is like, the season's over. There's no relegation. There's no anything that is gonna say like, oh, we're gonna look really bad. Then why to care? Like why they would care that much to win a game right now? Just to win it, just to say like, hey, we're actually good. I don't think they have that pride.
yeah, and that's the part I'm still struggling to think is like, even if you're in a winning season, right, and everything is going bad crazy, it's kind of hard for me to fathom any professional players not still not showing up because okay, the season is gone, but you're still playing for your next contract. You're still playing for everything that comes with you being a professional soccer player or an athlete in general. So for me, anyone that says or shows that they don't have the desire to play or win, even though you know there's nothing left to play for,
Mm-hmm.
you might as well go elsewhere because there's someone else, you're taking someone else's spot that will be running and doing the work. So I could care less if you're 0 and 36, right? And there's 37 left. You should be going 110% because your your livelihood is on there, your contract's on there. I mean, you're not going to be at City forever, and they will
Right.
see your stats for the next 2 years. Gonna be like, well, you know what? We ain't paying you what you thought you were worth because look how you played last year.
Mhm. But I mean, they talk about it all the time in sports like hockey and even in soccer. It isn't. It's not the name on the back that's the most important thing. It's the badge. It's this right here.
Mhm.
That's what they need to be playing for. That's what would make fans happy. I think, especially over these last 7 games, go out, show passion, show the fight, show the energy. Do that. Back the club. Because yeah, I mean, hell, even if you look at City 2 the other night, Kyle Hebert is playing for City 2. He's up at the end of the season. He's not just out there going through the motions. He's playing well. He's fighting for it because that will help him. Is he going to make our team next year? Maybe not, but he shows that he's willing to drop down to get minutes. He shows that he's willing to commit to whatever their vision is at City 2 for the game or for however long he's there. That makes him more attractive in my mind to other clubs that are looking for, even if it is just a depth center back.
That's what I'm saying. You're even if your season is over, you're still playing for something because you're not gonna be here for the next decade. You're
Yeah.
always playing for something, even if your team sucks. You know, sometimes the team does not really reflect how your season went or how
Right.
you're playing. It's just the team because you see players that go and leave a unsuccessful team and then be successful in another. So any players that does not want to play for the club, and you know, even though I'm very kind to a lot of those guys, but one thing that I will never be satisfied with is someone that's not going to, like us French guy says, you know, sweat for the jersey. And
100%.
you know, and sometimes we see that
And
quite a
that
lot, and we get that feeling, and we can see it. But we can tell by players' faces and demeanors. You can we can tell. We've been around sport long enough to know when someone has a little bit like of wanting to do something or does is not as inspired to to perform. It's obvious.
So,
that's what
um,
I just put on the chat that question and say like if everybody sees it or not. But I would like to know like what what player you really think that actually cares and represents what it means to play in this club, because that's something that you would have you will build what it will call like an idol for your club, like a legend for your club, like. And at this point, like I would say the only one that I would mention will be Klaus, in
For
my
your
perspective.
for your
In my
big time
perspective, is the
clubs,
only
yes.
one that it gives everything out. That he's always running, he's always hustling, he's always like giving 100%. Even if he's bad, even if he performs bad, but he's always fighting, and you can see him. And when he gets sub out, he gets mad. And even when he sometimes like he says like, hey, I'm cramping and I need to get out, but he also gets mad because he cannot finish the game That's my perspective. That's the only player I see that cares that much on this team.
I feel like Berkey cares. I mean, again, he's been the only guy that'll stand up and start a little bit of those scuffles and those arguments. So, and you constantly see him barking at players. I mean, you don't do that if you don't care. So, Berkey, I'd like to see more out of the back line. I would really like to see that kind of fight out of somebody on the back line. I mean, we had it with Timmy Parker. That's what endeared. I mean, that's what fans loved about Tim Parker, right? Get mad was one of the No Goal Patrol sayings for Tim Parker. And I think fans would like to see that fire out of Hartle. I mean, he's the most expensive player we've signed, at least right now. So I struggle to understand why we don't see more of that. And maybe, Mo, you said people aren't wired like that. Maybe he just isn't, but it would be nice to see that fight out of him.
Yeah, I don't think he's out. And that's how you build, your team, where yes, sometimes people don't appreciate the character of certain people of players because he maybe rubs them the wrong way. But this is not, kindergarten soccer.
No.
The bullies that you have on the field at soccer, they're there for a purpose. Those characters that we had that remind me a little bit of that were no longer in the club. So I think so that's where maybe we had too much of our big stars were a, a certain profile to where, yeah, maybe they will get mad here and there, but they're not mad all the time. Who was our little firecracker in the first city? I forgot his name.
Which position?
Dude, Stroud was
Yes,
fighting every
Stroud.
game.
Yes, Stroud. Right? They were everybody was saying, "Oh, he's terrible. Oh, he's that." But I can tell you that if I was going to go on the fight in the bar or something, and you ask me from that team who I was going to take with me, Stroud will be one of those guys. At this moment in this current team here, if you ask me who I would want to, maybe Berkey. But that's the only one that will really get in the trenches, like we say, rap music, right? So I think so that's the part where each team has that player. Unfortunately, the team in blue from the other side of town, they show that the St. Louis kid that got in a little bit of trouble, saying that he was enjoying sporting too much. That was a character, and guess what?
Yep.
We all remember when he did it. So I think no one is I don't think anyone is afraid of City at this moment. How many yellow cards do we get now these days for something that we're like, damn, what was he thinking? Not that many.
That's a great question. I want actually let me look at that right quick because I'm actually curious where City stands on the disciplinary.
Because previously every week we had someone or two.
Yeah, it felt like we did.
I mean, Stroud, I think got like 7 or 8 yellow cards just by arguing with the referee, or
yeah, they were suspended because of too many yellow cards. Yeah. But those were the things that people were saying that
like
he
was the same way.
And people were shouting, saying why he's doing this, what this and that. But sometimes a team cannot be built of all superstars, and then you think that you're going to win something.
Yeah. So City is kind of middle of the pack in yellow cards. We've had 53 this season. The highest was Real Salt Lake with 76, lowest Columbus Crew with 39. So we're a little towards the bottom half, but yeah. So no, we definitely don't have that. We do have, interestingly enough, we do have the second most red cards in the league. with 4. The leaders are Salt Lake and Seattle with 5 apiece. We've got 4. So Chris
Yeah, there was
Durkin's doing
some-
his job.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's probably was one that I would have thought probably, unfortunately, because of the injuries and all that, but I could see him getting those. Ryan is over there starting trouble, saying, "Look at Real Madrid this year, tons of stars." I don't watch La Liga, but don't talk bad about my French soccer players.
Oh no, don't we can't fire up Mo. So no, I don't know. I know we've got a game to talk about. We still haven't gotten to the
game?
actual
What?
game yet.
What?
There was a match. I don't know how much we want to get into it, Mo, but what other thoughts do you guys have about Lutz and the fallout that's going to come from him him leaving this role? Or have we kind of talked about
I
that out, I think.
I think these people are just trying to figure out what's next. I think the league is still sour about um, the first year, when they're saying that he decoded MLS and all that. So a lot of the people are coming back at us with those statements. But at the end of the day, it almost looks like it was a 5-year plan. Fortunately, it did not work out well towards the end of that 5-year plan. Um, but this time was most likely was going to happen anytime because I don't remember another time where an architect of a brand new franchise team stayed there for decades. It's typically you build it and we run, but
Mhm.
I think it was a little bit of it was a distraction from the game that we most likely will talk about for a little bit. It was a good distraction while he was there.
Well, I mean, it got us. We're not. I don't know. Are we still as angry about it?
I'm
I
still
don't
angry
know.
that the
You
MLS
know
has
my
not said
posture.
anything. But
So yeah. Do we want to pivot to talk about the game?
sure.
So yeah.
Do it.
So all right, we'll do it. Yeah. So let's jump into this bad boy. So St. Louis loses
All
in
right,
Vancouver.
Let's get ready to fight.
If you don't. If you don't, yeah, that's right. It was about time. If you don't live under a rock by now, you've seen the drama around that. But all that withstanding, it was. I mean, we can. I don't know if we want to start. I don't know that we need to go through every moment, every piece of
Just
the
wrap
game.
it up.
But starting lineup, I think the biggest thing for a lot of folks, guys, starting lineup was no Falu fall due to visa issues. The interesting thing about
let's rephrase that. Let's say maybe transportation, because when we say visa issue is maybe the administration type of thing, because
that
it's a transportation obligating.
No, that's a great call out. So let's clear that up. So because I can give a little bit more of specifics.
Yes.
So the club did have the paperwork done well in advance for Falu Fall to make the trip. So here's what's interesting. So Canada actually requires you to have a physical paper passport with you. You can't just say I'm approved. It can't be digital. You have to have your physical paper passport in order to travel across the Canadian border. City had it completed. It was approved. It was on its way. It got shipped. I can share it was even shipped via FedEx. Somehow, some way, it was supposed to be delivered by Friday, the Friday before the trip to Vancouver. It did not arrive in time. Instead, it ended up in another city through a shipping error. So it was not in any shape, way, or form on the club for Falu Fall not being able to travel. It was truly an error from the carrier service. So I do think, and knowing that, I can live a little bit more with how he wasn't there, but at the same time, it still
Why
sucks.
was it done just now? If he has been here for what, 3 weeks? Why was it done just now? To come to a point where you're waiting for the passport to arrive one day before you have to travel. I mean, it's my question. I'm not saying
No, no, no. It's a
there's an
good
issue with
one.
it. It's just more because did they wait it too long to actually process it, or it was just like the correct times and it would just happen what it happened, and it is what it is. Like that's just my little question. Obviously, it's upsetting that you lose a player for that type of reason, even if it was out of the club's hand. But if he has been here for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever he has been in, knowing that you playing in Vancouver and you have to do that paperwork, were you able to do it earlier? Why you didn't do it? That would be my only.
And after that, the question is, it's still government work. So how quick are
Right.
these people are these days? And um, our friendly neighbor is not really so friendly these days. So I don't know how, but then after that, my question was also, how in the heck is not MLS involved in this, right? So we all know they're a single entity, right? They have clubs in MLS, in Canada. Wouldn't you have some type of agreement already in place for a free movement of your players within those cities? Because
Right. Like if you're
technically,
hired for the league,
yeah,
you should be able to travel and go play your game.
yeah, it's so technically, I would have guessed that maybe the MLS would have also worked with the Canadian government that says, hey, these are all of our player under our roster because they're in the franchise in this thing. Here are all of our players in the roster. Here's their countries. Here's the paperwork they need to have done, and then happens because Oscar and I, we're immigrants, right? We all know that governments, there's paperwork. Everyone knows exactly what is needed there. So that's where I was a little bit, hey, Jeremy, you're here twice.
I'm working on something. Sorry. Go
I'm like, hey. So I was kind of
He's
surprised.
multiplying.
Yeah, I'm like, hey,
ahead.
Jeremy, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's why
Right.
I was questioning maybe not really the city part of thing. Is that like the US, the MLS in general is like you're a single entity. How is that taken care of? Because clearly you've had to do a visa for him to come in the US to begin with. Wouldn't you clear everything for your neighbors as well, or even Mexico as well? Because you don't know if that will something will have. Maybe there's a game needed there. Clear
Yeah.
every single
I mean,
borders.
I would be curious. I would be curious how MLB and NBA manage those situations.
There's a single entity, so I'm sure they have one front office,
Yeah,
That
lawyers,
because
everything.
it's very interesting that topic that you get employed by the MLS because you're employed by the MLS, and knowing that you in your whole bubble you play in two countries, when you apply and you get your visa, should already be good for both because you know you're gonna go play there. So it was very confusing. I was very surprised when that happened. But anyways,
Yep. And I think I
okay.
told
So what
Jeremy.
else we had on that starting 11?
Oh,
no, I mean, I'll run through it real quickly, but I mean, that to me was the biggest surprise, guys. You had Berkey. I guess Berkey starting is another one. First time he'd ever started in Vancouver. But the rest of your starting 11, Padelford on the left, Baumgartel, Kessler in the middle, Vollum on the right back. That's an interesting one I think we can talk about too. Your midfield pivot was Leuven and Durkin, Hartle, Ostrak, Sangbin, and then Klaus leading the line. So I think the 6 attackers are unchanged now for 3 straight games. So that seems to be the preference in attack. But Wallem at right back, that's an interesting one. What thoughts do you guys have?
Oscar, what do you think?
I was surprised. I was surprised. I mean, they have been give him so much credit and good comments to Orozco since he made his debut just in like as a complimentary player when he was still in City 2, and then he gets signed as a main squad player. He gets 2 games that I think they were both solid. He has made mistakes, but at the same time, like you're trying to build the confidence of a player like that, and then out of the sudden, for the Chicago game, I think a lot of the little chit chat on social start going to like, "Hey, what Orozco's doing?" Blah 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 blah. Like just those random comments that we all know they circle around, but I was not expecting that it was gonna get out, just like that, just just for one performance against Chicago. That I don't think it was a bad performance anyway. So, but I was surprised.
To me, I think it's more. Um, I guess this is my feeling. They have 7 games left now. It was 8 at the time of this game to really make a decision if they haven't already about Conrad Vollum. I don't think he fits this system. I think maybe they're still trying to figure that out. But I think it says 2 things. One, if he's leaving, why is he starting over Totland if you want to go more offensive? Because to me, it's a decision on offense or defense. Orozco's a good defensive player. Vollum and Totland offer more offensively. That's the piece of the conversation that I think this is about. But it's troubling to me that Thomas Totland hasn't seen the pitch in weeks. And especially if Vollum isn't going to be here next year, why is he starting?
What's Totland's situation? Is his contract?
He's fully healthy. He's here next year. He's under contract for, I think, another season. I'll check real quickly, but yeah, he's at least here for another year, unless we're trying to move him and we just don't know.
But I'm thinking like Critchley doesn't like him.
Well, yeah,
Doesn't like
yeah.
Tots, but um, I would say like the only reason he was gonna try to be more offensive on that side, and that's why I put Wallem, I guess. And I was a little scared about it, but at the same time, it wasn't too much on the left side, but the right side was kind of like the problem with Ocampo and on Vancouver, that he was having so much fun in the first half, and Paddleford was having some issues, but at the same time, not too. It wasn't too overwhelming, but at the same time, he was struggling a little bit.
So Tots, you asked. So Totland is under contract in 2026, a player option for 2027.
Okay. So that's a player, for example, like if we keep Critch, would be one that is hard to keep, but has contract. And those are the issues, like having a coach right now that is not using that player, that might not be next year, because Tots is also losing playing time. Like he's not being used at all. It's like, what are we doing? We have this player for a full year on contract still.
Right. And that's what I don't get. Like, remember last year, I think it was Tots got tired at the end of the season, so they stopped using him. Critchley I think you're spot on, Oscar. I just think it comes down to him not being rated by the manager, but then if that's the case, we as fans have rated Totland so extremely high for a year and a half now, probably more since he got here. Is he as good as we think he is if he's already falling in the pecking order to a guy who isn't going to be here, potentially, most likely, and Hazy Orozco? I mean, is that concerning at all?
Maybe they're trying to get their money worth of Wallem.
Okay, maybe. But no. So that's the starting 11, guys. I don't know if anything just jumped out at me about it. First
There's
half.
One that jumped on me.
What's that? Go ahead. Yeah.
There's one that jumped on me since the game in Chicago, and is why Durkin?
because he's healthy.
Not because of Durkin, not because of whatever he has been doing. It's more of we play Nashville, we beat Nashville, we play a great game against Nashville. Who was the companion of Lewin?
Alfredo Morales.
Morales. And we had a great game, a solid game. Why going to from that to go play in Chicago is so different that it wasn't a horrible game, but it still changed. It changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go again in Vancouver, and then you still put the same midfielder that just struggled the game before. When you had your one of your best performances with another piece, what is it? Why is so urgent to put Durkin back? We need to sell him. That's what the urgency is, to have some video so we can get something out of him.
I mean, too late for that. He's out of contract at the end of the season, so we missed the opportunity with the window closing. So that I don't know if it's because they want a more dynamic center midfielder and they want another box to box guy to get forward in the attack. But Oscar, I'm with you. I would really like to see the Leuven Morales combination back, because to me the biggest problem we had against Chicago, and something I still think we could have done better in Vancouver with, was limiting those spaces in the middle, especially in the second half, and having that stay-at-home six like Morales was against Nashville, which took Mukhtar out of the game for the most part. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't understand the change just because maybe Durkin's higher on the depth chart. Maybe that doesn't matter tactically. I don't know.
I have like there's a saying in Spanish in Colombia. It's like team that wins, you don't change it.
That's
And
international.
I've never seen it over here. Like we win a game and then the next game is like a full overhaul, like the different information, different. And I'm like, we just won a game. Why are you changing your starting 11?
Why fix it if it's not broken?
Yeah, I mean, it worked. Like, I get changing the wing backs to an extent, guys, because if you want balance and you're going to find balance in different ways, I can live with that. But at the same time, the midfield, here's the thing. To me, changing out the wing backs is a non-factor if you keep the midfield the same, because if you keep a six in front of the back line, then your wing backs can go forward. That's what Hackworth, I think it did for a while with City when he was the manager last year. You keep that six becomes your third defender, and your wing backs can both go forward, and you have balance in a different way. But maybe that's just
It's
how
just a
Chris wants to
feel
do
of communication and trust that you build as everybody the same starting 11 playing often. You build that relationship, you build that comfort where you know where your 11s are, you know. It's like
it.
I just don't understand. Like everybody was rated very well in the Nashville game. Everybody rated
Hmm.
well, so why the need to change? And it's like I don't agree with that, Ryan, because there's some players that they don't train well, and there's some players that they might have some little soreness or something after a game, and then they go on training and they just limit it on training. But you still want to have that player if it's your player on the style 11 to have him. So I don't think like fully training should be the one that dictates what you put in there. If there's the special conditions, if there's just a lack of effort and something, then you handle that player individually. But at the same time, if you just had a great starting 11 in one game, I don't see the point to change it unless there was something out of normal.
And I would say, like, I would get player rotation if we were in multiple competitions, right? Like you talk about that in Europe, right? You play a weekend squad, maybe you rotate at the weekend because you have a Champions League game midweek. We don't have that problem, so unless something is significantly off at training, I don't understand why there's that much of a difference in the 11s. Because
Yeah,
I'm
and is it like you cannot play over and over the same lineup? You can. I've seen many teams that they play the same starting 11 almost the entire season. They just tweak one or two depending on what they're fitnesses or if you get hurt or any or suspensions. But normally the starting 11s are starting 11s. That's why they're your best 11.
Yes, I think for me, even taking everything into consideration, if unless the player is injured, if things worked out well, the reward is for you to play again, unless your practice it went horribly wrong for you to lose your spot again. That's I think that's the only way that I can see you having your best performance and then you're stuck in that moment still and then the entire week you're slacking because you think that your spot is guaranteed, which it takes a little bit for you to lose that opportunity. And it sounds like I don't know if that's what happened, but it's
Mo, you are in my head. So I'm
uh-oh.
trying to find the exact quote. No, because you're speaking to something Edu Leuven spoke to a week ago after it was going into the almost a week ago. It was going into the match in Vancouver. He said we've trained intensely. He talked a lot in that press conference about how there was complacency in the squad because at training they knew they were starting. Whether it was due to injury or anything like that, there was complacency, and that they've recently really had to ramp up the challenges and ramp up the level of practice or the level of competition at training and the energy they're using and going harder because they need to make sure that they prove themselves. And that to me, when you talked about culture earlier, when we had that conversation earlier, it almost to me speaks to there being some kind of a potential culture issue at the club, if we're not training hard enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
he said.
the only players that should not be practicing hard is Messi and like Cole Palmer and like all those type of players that they're just good. The rest, like everybody should be putting an effort in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the scary
So
part is that even the best in the world are still practicing hard. Even like we all know the Messi, the Ronaldos are still working hard during practices. So there's no one, there's no professional athletes that can say I'm not gonna work out. Oh, I'm not gonna practice hard enough because we all know the top guys one take care of themselves. That's why they don't get injured as much. And two, they practice because that's how you set the standard for everyone else that's below you in your club.
Mhm.
If you starting to see some guys slacking at practice, that's a very bad precedent for all the meager players and all these guys that are watching those guys play. And maybe that's why I was saying maybe sometime you might have to have these CD2 guys go just at practice, even though maybe they might not be on the roster and they might not play, but you just having these kids around practicing that play your same position, maybe it put a little bit of, hey, this guy is here for your job. And maybe Orozco did
Mhm.
that. And he took
Yeah.
someone else's job because
Yeah.
he's now in the roster and starting.
Yeah. So just real briefly, the exact quote from Edu was, quote, I think you can definitely tell the competition is on, that there's more pressure. We need that. We need that we need that in terms of having a lot of injured players and the guys that think they're safe and they're going to play easily. But now the coach has some tough decisions to make, and players know that, and that they have to give more and show themselves every single week. So that's a good and healthy competition, and that's the way we've trained the last couple weeks. So I don't know. Maybe that is part of the issue, is that we've had such an injury crisis. At some point, there was complacency in the squad, and now, because I think we can argue, like, was it a perfect performance in Vancouver? No, it wasn't a perfect in Chicago. We had a really good game against Nashville, but I think that you can start to see there are enough. I hate to say there are probably enough good moments. God, I sound like Olaf Melberg, but there's enough good moments that you can start to see this team is turning a corner a little bit. We're not getting the results yet, but I feel like that's reason to start to be optimistic a little bit. but we need that environment first. That environment needs to be there from the start. It can't wait until 8 games left to say, "Oh, now we're competitive in training."
I think they there's stuff that make us stand up and like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? It's just it looks like mental keeps on coming back in the conversation over and over and over again. Because if you're telling me some guys knew that their injury list was so deep that you were almost guaranteed to play, but that still didn't force you to work hard enough to still play it, then I still question your character even more. Because
Yeah.
hmm,
Well, and that
that's
just be and so and I hate to say it, but I'm going to go back to the Lutz conversation. Lutz put this team together. Is that a knock on Lutz? I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm going to let the jury decide that one. I'm not getting a vote, but I just wonder.
people were complaining that some of the players that had characters and that didn't want to be bullied around were bad apples. if you want, if your team is not diverse enough to have good, bad, and the ugly, and you have only good guys, so guess what happens when you meet other teams that have a good mixture of those two? Here, no one's scared.
No.
We're at
Uh,
Energizer Park. There was
did
people
you?
in my stand. People are sitting now these days.
Oh yeah, that's long gone.
Sitting.
They're all sitting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Not what we know, but yeah. Now, did you guys really think that Chicago and Vancouver was a good performance? Because I don't think so. I think it was good moments, but we at the end of the day we were not the better team. So like not I don't want to sound like all off because now I don't think we were the better team in both games. I think they had good moments, and if they would have been the better team, they would have kept the leads in both. They wouldn't know how to handle the pressure to keep the lead, and we don't. We made in getting into the Vancouver game, like we make small silly mistakes. Um, I know people are gonna argue and are gonna say different things and have different opinions and all that. I do think like the first PK, yes, there's a soft PK, but it's a very stupid play done by Paddleford. It's not the force that he put into the player, it's what he did. He fully extended his arm, grabbing the guy even for a second. And you're in front of the referee. You told the referee, look, I'm grabbing him. Even harder soft, I'm grabbing him. You told him, call the PK. It's it is a soft one. Yes, it is a soft one, but you were stupid enough to show him that much that it was a PK. So no, we did not get robbed there, and I'm gonna get into the other one. Um, everybody disagrees with me, and I have gone to the point to say this, so people don't get fired up and get all crazy here.
Get your pitchforks.
The VAR and the VAR and the referee made a mistake on reviewing and reversing the call for the only reason that there was no enough clear and obvious evidence that there was a touch. I do think there is a touch, but this is me assuming, looking at the image and saying the way that the path both run and how his leg moves, for me assuming there is a touch and there is a PK. But the issue with this call was that there was not enough evidence. The assumption should not be taken in consideration in VAR resolutions. It has to be proof. And there is the issue. But in my opinion, it was a foul.
So I agree with you on the Padelford one. Yeah, not much in it, but it's enough that you can say, yeah, there's a pull. Okay, fine. I would have loved an end to end view where we can see, did Laborda cut across Mackay? Because to your point, I think my frustration with it is I can't tell that there's contact. It's a lot of assuming that there's contact. I also hate the fact, frankly, that the ball is nowhere near where the foul took place. I understand that it's still a foul, but the ball is a good 5 yards away. In my opinion, there is no reason. Laborda had already gotten past Mackay. He had a good step on him. There's no reason that I felt like Laborda, even if he's going to cut in front of him, had the pace to get by Mackay and was going to beat him to the ball, but it's nowhere near them. So those are my two frustration points. And I 100% agree with you, Oscar. If there's contact, okay, fine, it's a penalty. But if the threshold is clear and obvious, there's not enough in it for me for VAR to intervene the way they did. I am with you. That's my issue, is the intervention of VAR because of how inconsistent it was. But I'll shut up and let Mo and everyone else have their say.
I think you're right on that part. Well, the picture that everybody's showing, right? Yes, we see that Makai's knee is, like going forward, and then you see the leg that's behind it.
The blur.
Yeah, but that does not tell us that there was contact, right? Because if you put your hand here and then I put my hand here, guess what? Now my hand disappears in the picture. It shows that maybe my hands,
But it could be
both my
like
hands
this.
are touching, but guess what? They're not touching.
Yeah.
Right. So just that picture alone does not really tell me, and it's the whole obvious, right? That there is a foul that is worth to have the referee second guess himself. And I think that's the same discussion people have been having, that VAR has now become almost like the safety blanket of a lot of referees, that when they're being told to go and check VAR, that's why it's taking for so long, because they're now trying to convince themselves that if the guy somewhere in the US asks me to review it, there must be something for me to overturn. And then they're second guess themselves. If you watch where the referee's position was, he's actually on the other side where we technically could have seen if there was actually contact. He deemed it not to have any contact, and he was on the other side of the camera that we did not have. Remember, the Champions League have the camera that almost like the 360, like where if you cannot see that motion, it goes show you to the other side if there's actually a foul or offside. Maybe MLS is too cheap to do that technology because they don't even have a goal line technology. So it's like
They don't even do lines for offsides.
So there's like so many points of failure that it opened the interpretation of like, oh, he touched him, that's why there's a foul. Like I mentioned, the ball is nowhere near him. Who says that he's fast enough
Well, the
to
ball,
go
it
get
is
the ball?
near. I'll refute that on you.
No, the ball is not. The ball is nowhere near him. If you watch the thing, the ball is nowhere near him. Look.
Okay, he's falling, but when they talk about where the contact supposedly
of the
took
running
place,
yes,
the ball
of
is
the
not.
running,
The ball is still a good 3-4.
He's still able to play the ball. So
the ball is
like
no. He cannot play that ball.
All right, but is there even conversation he's going to get to the ball? Is he even going to get there?
Crawl. He will have to crawl to go get that ball at this moment.
I mean, obviously because he fell down.
But but if he would not have fell
down,
the ball
he gets the ball.
But if you watch the motion of him falling, he gets a few more yards because he's trying to recover himself. But when he was standing to running, the ball is nowhere near him.
Let me see if it'll show.
Yeah, I keep watching it. Look, he's not getting that.
he's definitely getting that.
No,
Oh, come on.
but
You think he's gonna crawl to that ball?
he's not going to get that, and he will not make a cross from there.
So okay, here I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's got gonna get to the ball. I'll
It's
give
not
him
a
the benefit
scoring
of,
opportunity. It's
but
that
what,
is
but what I'm saying
Well,
is
he's not. But he's the ball is still in play. It doesn't
but that's
matter.
not a scoring opportunity.
all right.
Like
So okay, but this
Give me
is where
one,
I say
guys.
he's got to
But
step on the
why it
Makai.
has to be a scoring opportunity? It doesn't matter. He's just getting the ball and keeping it bounce.
and that's what he's going to do. He ain't stopping him from nothing. Look at my
It
guy.
doesn't matter.
My guy is
What does it
literally just
matter?
running.
Yeah, I mean he beat
What does it
Makai.
matter
He's past
if he's
Makai.
gonna score or not?
Because there's no
It
action.
doesn't matter if he's gonna score or not.
And I guess
my guy is
could
not
just
even
say-
making.
Can I-
He could just save the ball and go to the corner and waste time.
Can
No,
I
he
also
won't
just
do that.
ask?
He just got,
They want
Can
to win.
Can I also just ask a question?
Yeah.
You see his back leg? That doesn't
fishing.
like who stretches out their leg like that when he's running?
He's
Like
fishing.
that's what I'm saying. He's looking for the contact. Like
Yeah,
if
he's
and,
these
and
are
I-
hilarious.
He's fishing.
am I not? Wait, no, Oscar, come
He's
on.
fishing.
I might have city red glasses on, but that's
He's
like you
fishing.
can like that just seems like an unusual extension to be running with.
guys, come on.
He's fishing.
Uh,
Look,
Come on.
where's that
Come on.
Oscar? The more and
here
more
we
I
go.
watch,
Oscar's got
the
the
more and
video.
more I watch this video, the more and more I see zero contact. I see a guy tripping himself from
I
a
you
left
know I
foot.
see it because
I see a
if
left
you-
foot hitting
you
the back
look-
of the right hand, and then he falls.
I see it more as you don't see the touch, but I do see the movement of his leg. His leg, his stride. His
His leg
stride
is
doesn't
going
go
straight.
straight. It
There's
goes
like-
in because
know-
of the touch of the
You know when you're running
don't run
and
like that, Mo.
You know when you're running and you hit somebody's knee, you will kind of see like a little knock, right? His leg is still going
That's
forward.
what I see. That's what I see.
Man, we might have to see different eye doctors because Oscar.
I don't know. So the
And I mean,
wording of
it-
the rule.
But hey, well, go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
But
No,
we
I was
all
gonna
agree on
say,
the rule, though.
The wording of the rule states if there is no video evidence of a clear and obvious error or the video evidence is inconclusive, video review is not recommended or deemed necessary. I want to just point to
Yeah.
me if us three can't agree on this, how the hell is it conclusive that there was an error? Because I'm sorry, I know we're just three guys on the internet, but come on.
No, we're guys that
And
play
it took
soccer.
and it
before.
took the referee. And
5
it took the
minutes?
referee, I think, a minute or maybe 2 minutes to make the call. And we have so many calls that they take like 5-7 minutes and they still don't reverse it.
because
So that
he knew that his
is
behind was
questionable.
saved.
That is definitely questionable.
I think it's because he knew exactly that he got saved by the VAR. Now he could use the VAR as the excuse, because if he he should have given PKs to City and Vancouver on the earlier fouls than the last one. I would have been like, okay, those are PKs more than the last one. So I think it's like, right, Oscar, is like those, referees when you know you mess up.
Compensation.
Yeah, you know what you mess up
Yep.
earlier. Now you're trying to. This is
Well-
exactly what it looks like.
Well, that's what they said the first one was. They said they gave the Padelford one to make up for the non-call on Sabby when who was it? Who was playing left back?
Padelford.
Padelford slid in the box.
So maybe he didn't know how to count.
He didn't really get the ball cleanly, but they didn't give the pen there. So then they said minutes, because it literally was like a bang bang. The very next set piece, they're giving the penalty shout. I don't know. Here's my thing. My 2 cents is we don't get the call for Hartle because he's fishing for it. He went into it looking for contact in the box.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Laborda's doing the same damn thing, Oscar. I'm sorry. I can't give it to you. If you're not going to give Hartle one because he's looking for it, I don't know what the hell Laborda's doing.
How you want him to run? He's in a full sprint.
I don't know.
Hey.
Maybe my glasses are too tinted and I can't see.
No,
clearly.
they're not.
Maybe I'm
No,
going to the
no,
doctor.
I definitely don't agree, and I think I do think that hotels was not a PK.
What about Klaus?
The one that I will give you maybe, and I don't think it was a PK either, but if had more was like the hip check on Klaus, but Klaus also initiated the contact first. Like he went straight to the body,
wasn't it-
even though the
wasn't it
player did give the hip check.
So wasn't
So
it
hold
the
on.
last?
No, no,
Hold
no.
on.
He
Hold
still
on.
gave the hip check.
But no,
No,
if
no,
hold on.
hold on,
Time out.
Jeremy.
Time out.
You ran into
Go ahead.
that
The
one.
defender still hip check him. They did hip check him, but
Oh,
Klaus does not move at like his
Be careful,
run
Oscar.
is straight. I'm gonna run into him. He's not
Right.
trying to avoid the contact. Klaus is straight goes to him. The what it looks bad is because the defender actually does bring the hip out.
So, all right.
But I
If-
think
but-
Klaus
but-
is still initiates the contact.
But if okay, but hold on. If Klaus can't initiate contact and draw a penalty, why the hell can Laborda? There's a double standard here. I don't understand.
Laborda did-
Someone he did.
he
He,
left
no,
his leg
no.
back, like,
he had to
dragging.
cross. No, he initiated contact by crossing in front of Joyner. He was looking for it. I mean, that's what attackers are supposed to do, right? I get that. That's what he's trained to do. He's making the run he's supposed to run and do.
No.
But to me, he's initiate. Joyner did not go out of his way. Joyner did not deviate from his run. Joyner, to me, was running straight back to get into a good defensive position. Laborda cuts in front of him, which then starts the supposed contact that we still are not clear if it actually was. So to me, he's initiating the same way you just said Klaus was. So what's the difference?
Jonah was running straight back to probably defensive mode, where Porter was going to the right
Without
side.
looking where the forward is coming.
But it's the same thing as a hip check. He was not worried about where Klaus was going. He was not worried about where the ball was going. He was more worried about where Klaus was going.
I mean, Junior didn't have any idea where he was going because he didn't even see the guy coming.
He
That's
did see
the-
him.
That's like kind of like he didn't see him. That's why he trips him.
No,
If you
they
see
were-
him, you go like this.
that was at the end when he
Literally,
fell.
if you really see him coming and you see him going across, you go like this because you don't
No,
want to touch
come
him.
on, Oscar,
But
come
he did not
on.
see him.
No,
Yeah,
people don't go like,
no.
ooh, my bad.
I've seen. No,
That's
like
like
you
that's
get
like
off,
fifth
so
grade
you don't-
soccer,
You don't run
Oscar.
him over.
No, that's fifth grade soccer
Look,
that will say, "Oh my
You
bad."
don't run him over. No, you avoid the contact because you know they're gonna look into that. That's what I'm saying. If he sees them coming across him, he literally is gonna go still run him, but try to avoid him as much as he can so he's not touching. But Joyner did not see him whatsoever.
Oscar.
Maybe I don't know.
You know what?
well,
If just give everyone those PKs,
But hey,
and then everybody
And
would
all
have been
this, and I mean, it's fun, and everybody can believe in all whatever you want, and like make fun of me or like disagree with me. Like it's all good. Like I'm not.
But-
I see what I see, and I think at the end of
Hey.
the day, if there's proof, it was a correct call. But at the end of all, City doesn't lose the game because of that play.
well,
they lost
hang
the
on.
point.
Yeah, so hang on. So that is so hold on. So
No, I'm
I
not
just thought
losing
about
the point.
something. So Oscar, this
Uh-oh.
is grade A. This I think this is perfect. I think I figured out what we need to do. Okay. We need to get you a contract as a trialist because we said earlier City needs shithousers, and this is grade A shithousery. So and we
Hey, I'm okay with that, but I have to fix my knee first. But yeah, I'm okay with that.
He's like,
Well,
give me a
hey,
contract.
they've got a staff to help, right? Anyway, we're not going to.
Oh, they
Mo's
might break
face.
my other knee, dude.
No, guys. So okay, so look, we'll agree to disagree on the penalty,
boy.
fellas. We could be here all night talking about it, and we need to let. There were a couple of good moments though that I think are worth highlighting. There was some good service from Conrad Vollum, Edu Leuven with a goal in the 13th minute. But I think the more impressive goal to me was that transition play where Sang Bin just roasted the defender and played a really nice ball for Klaus, where he was able to just. I still can't believe Klaus not only retained possession but then still beat Takeoka. That was a hell of a goal.
Two defenders all by himself.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say, but honestly, Oscar, to your point about deserving to win, frankly, I think both goals came against a run of play. I don't think that's arguable. We didn't have a lot of chances. I think we were outshot 20-7, something like that. They had 74% of the field tilt, and I mean, hell, Brian White missed a sitter like 6 yards out. Any other day, he's putting that in. So, I
And
think
then
we had a
Muller missed 2 headers that they were wide open headers too.
Yeah.
So like we gave him too much space for all the plays and creating options, and we were actually lucky to not be down more. Um, our goals were good, but we don't know how to manage our leads, and then the other, like, we start sitting back too much, and then we made another silly mistake that goes on like Wallim's foul, that ball is literally going to the corner, and he just goes and runs him over with no reason. Um, so that, and then we don't mark correctly because then it's a set piece, and then we all fall asleep and then let him have a free header. One thing I would like to recognize is that Sam Bing had an option to Hartel. I think probably 3 or 5 minutes before he got the assist. That it was literally the same play. He was wide open, counterattack, sends the pass across. He overcooks that one and sends it too hot. He learned from the mistake, he gets the next one, and he makes sure that he actually connects the pass. So like that's something like to look for, that a player, instead of making a mistake and putting his step down, is like the next one is like, I learned from my mistake and I'm gonna do it right.
No, yeah. You're right. But again, I think that's just to your point. Like we don't create enough moments consistently going forward. The thing about the second, so I listened to, I went back to listen to Jesper Sorensen after the match because I thought it would be curious to hear both sides of the penalty discussion. But what he actually talked about, he made adjustments. So the biggest thing to me that was different in the second half was they pushed their wing backs forward and were really playing with a back line that was just their back two. That's what really, to me, shifted it. They weren't doing it in the first half, and they just overloaded it. And Critchley, for whatever reason, either didn't know what changes to make or anything like that. I mean, hell, I mean, that's why they got was it the second goal? I think it was from Rios, because Vollum, who's not a defender, is being asked to defend in the like 79th minute of the game and commits a stupid foul that's essentially the same as a corner kick for them. And Rios gets a near-headed ball that Berkey called a mistake after the game, said that was on poor defending from the defense. I mean, that's the thing. You can't miss the opportunities you do make and let up mistakes on the back end. So progress, glass half full, maybe it's positive signs to your point, but it wasn't probably enough to get 3 points. Maybe one on another day. What do you guys think?
I just lost the point. But one thing I've saw is that one thing that keeps showing up to me though is that it looks like it depends on which team CD plays against. It will determine their performance on it, because as you can see, the teams that they are playing against and the team that they beat not long before that, like their standard of play rises when the competition is high. But then once they meet a competition that's either equal to them or maybe most likely should be below, that's when that performance kind of shift. Because who would have? We were almost all preparing ourselves to get a butt whooping from Vancouver because of how they've played recently, right? We thought that Nashville was probably going to beat us because of how they were playing. So it looks like the standard of playing, depending on who we're playing against, goes up, and then we're on the high. But then after that, it just kind of. Hopefully, let's see how the Houston game goes, because that will let me know if is it just, hey, we're playing against this big team, now we're going to perform, but now we're in the mid table. Let's get back to what their standard, I guess we'll say.
Yep.
So that's what's kind of disappointing for me, is that the highs are extremely high and the lows are extremely low. I just need a medium to even things up.
I think we'd all settle for that right now. A little bit of consistency, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I still really think saying Ben is a great signing. He adds something we badly missed on the right side. Maybe that's what Alm was supposed to be, but it's nice to feel like you have a threat on that side without having to send a wing back forward. I don't know. What other takeaways from Vancouver do you guys have?
That's like the biggest thing overall on this transfer window, and like looking forward to what we will have for the next 7 games, plus obviously next year. It's that he's a good addition. There can be possibly better players in the market later on, sure, but at this point, like, we don't need to focus on our right wing. We all know where we need to focus on, and a 6 in another goal scorer, I would say. But my biggest issue is the mentality of, and I think even Critchley has talked about it, that it feels like when we score a goal, the mentality shifts to being scared of conceding, or just being complacent with, hey, we score a goal, we're ahead, we lift the foot of the pedal and say, like, we're not gonna go again and try to get another one. And that's how we always lose the leads, because we're so concerned on like getting scored on that we just try to be so cautious, and it doesn't work out for us.
I think for me, it's the experienced players, because
Mhm.
you know how we always say, clutch players. That's what you need. Um, that's why some team win championship, because they have the experience and they know how to perform in certain situations. So it looks like maybe they need to find their way again to be able to win multiple games in a row, so that they either have the confidence to do so, or it's like the third gear that says, we've been here, we've been there, we know how to keep a lead. Because at this moment, it feels like they keep saying, here we go again, when the similar moment happens. And you know how mental states happen, right? If you go, here we go again, that takes over your brain and then the rest of your body. But
Yeah.
I guess if we're done about that, I have some comments about St. Louis fans in general reaction.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I think we'll probably all discuss this, and we see it online and all that. I think some people may want to boycott or not show up to games, or that mentality of, since the team is not performing well, let's find a way to punish them to make a statement. Still feel a little awkward, and I guess to me, seeing that, yes, we're all on in a bad time of soccer for the team, but it's kind of weird for me to hear some of those discussions, because I've supported a team or certain other teams that 10, 15, 20 years without winning something, a trophy, but never in my mind will say, you know what? I'm going to stop showing up to a game. I will stop watching them. I will stop doing this. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. Is it American sports
Yeah.
or I,
I think it's the American the American sports culture, because fans, I think we want to believe we have power and influence,
Mhm.
and the way that we express that power or use that influence is by not showing up. I mean, look at the Cardinals downtown. The
I
Cardinals
saw
have
that.
been terrible. The Savannah Bananas came to town and have drawn more fans in like a weekend than the Cardinals probably have since opening day. If you're not going to and that is, I think the difference is, you're not, to your point, it's not something you see around the world in soccer. You might see supporters groups protest things. You
Oh,
might
big time.
see, in results and try to push for ownership changes and stuff, right? But they're not going to not come to the games, at least in most cases, at least from what I've seen. And granted, I don't look below the top flights of the other countries, but Oscar, what do you see? Is there anything you've seen
No, I
in your
mean,
travels?
you have to keep supporting. I mean, you can demand changes. You can get mad. You can get all the frustrations as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you it's your passion,
Mhm.
because it's that's why you always like, you mentioned it earlier on the show. You play for this, right? You play for the crest, then you are a fan for the crest too. Like it's not just you only for the crest when things go right. No, you like your team and you love your team in the good ones and the bad ones. You should be there. You should be all the time like supported, and that's what I like. I kind of tell my friends all the time. Like, I will go to every game, and I will lose my voice every game. But if at the end of the game I have to boo you to be
Mhm.
nice, say that I'm gonna boo you. I'm gonna just be nice. But if I have to boo you and I have to do all this to show my frustration and that you and demand that there should be something better, then I have the right to do so. But I also, because I already did 90 minutes of my performance as a fan,
Well, you do more.
cheering you on and supporting and going and spending my money to go see an event and a team that all that stuff, like, then you can do that. But if you guys are like, well, I'm not gonna spend my money because just don't want to see a loser team, and I don't want to support him, and once they get better then I'll go back, then no, you're not really supporting and being a fan. You're just being
Undertaking.
uh yeah, you just mean something like, I only go when it's fun,
Yeah,
basically.
No.
yeah, and I think maybe that's where I see it, and maybe not see it in other places, maybe where I grew up, where when you say I'm not going to support that team, right? Typically that means you're not going to go to your local restaurant, you're not going to go to your local bar, you're not going to take transportation, you're not going to buy this and that. Guess what? Now there's a financial effect, not only on the team that you're not supporting anymore, but everyone else that's around that's benefiting to it. Um, you know, I guess from my city, I guess in France, you have a small town, Brexham, for example, right? How long have they been? They were bad all the way to almost to shamble. They still had fans, right? Did those fans stop showing up when they went all the way to whatever bottom of the pyramid? No, those fans still showed up, right? So I think that's where the video I had put in is like, have to maybe redirect a little bit of that culture where, yes, we want America to have like the best soccer football culture, but some of that discussion redirects it to a different way, and then it paints the wrong picture, maybe because it. I'm a
So,
no
so
matter what guy, I guess.
no, so Mo, let me ask you this though. So, and granted, I've never been to a football match outside of the U.S. Are ticket prices in some of the experiences you've had as high as what folks in the MLS, and specifically, let's just say St. Louis, are paying? Because I think that's, if not,
No,
that might be the difference.
no, but I think it's also how the teams and the stadium and the culture is built different. So what I say by that is that I will say, because I have maybe a little bit more involvement with Chelsea, for example, right? There's the group that I'm with, and there's a Chelsea Trust Fund, right?
Mhm.
Literally, the presidents are there, have a seat at the table of the board with Chelsea. When they put agreements, because they're so big that they have agreements to where certain tickets cannot be sold at a certain price range, so that the original fans from that club are still allowed to go and watch those games without being priced out, because now Chelsea is a global team, and those price of those tickets goes up. American sports, there's no supporter groups that I know of that has that much power to go to a club and says, here's the section or here's the part of the stadium that it still has to be $20 for our group. There's no such here. There's laws in the UK that they cannot do those price gouging. But here is, it's what the stadium wants to charge you, that's what it's going to be.
Free for all.
Yeah. So I think it's just that culture of like the sports that's so different there, is that their supporter groups, when they call themselves supporter groups, is some of those presidents have the direct phone number of the president of those clubs. They have
Mhm.
board member seats. They can, when they're not happy with something happening with the club, they meet with the club leadership. That Chelsea funds, they meet with Chelsea's leadership.
Yep.
When the club was being sold, they met with those before it was sold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the difference is with the price of the tickets,
Okay.
right?
Well,
The stadium makes the money. They're the one that put the price. Supply and demand in the US is different than supply
yeah.
and demand in the
Well,
rest of the world.
but I'd say you don't really have to go. You don't have to leave the states to see ownership groups and clubs meeting with fans. I mean, I know City meets with the fan commission, but if you go out to Philly, the away kit that Philly has this year that has the lightning on it,
Yeah.
that was helped designed by the fans. Like there are clubs that are that close with their, and I know that that's not the same as
Yeah, but the
ticket
word
prices,
that's financial, create
but
kit, yeah.
but that's still giving, I think, and maybe I'm crazy for saying it, but that's value added as a fan, because I
It
can be
does.
like, I was a part of this is my club, they're wearing something I designed. So to me, that's value added enough to make me say, you know what, I'm with you, ride or die, right?
Yeah.
I don't
I
care.
think City's doing like maybe above and beyond others, because they do involve, in
Yeah.
the other community like event. But I think just the financial and the direct
Yeah.
impact of a certain club, unfortunately, since all of these sports here are single entities, I think maybe football is the only one that you can think of with the Green Bay Packers, that it's all owned by fans. But that's a rarity of things.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think that's how I
I
see it.
don't like that. Um, the ticket sales, for example. I know we had most of them like season ticket holders sold, and that's why there's not many available. But um, they're all the prices are normally the same for every game, and
Mhm.
I know, like, for example, in England they use flexible or like variable price, strategic, that if you play a tier team, it's higher cost. But if you play a tier game, then it's lower. So you invite
Yep.
more people because obviously there's different attractiveness of games. So if you're playing, let's say, like if you're playing Man United or Chelsea or Liverpool, like it's very attractive to go, and so they're gonna charge you a little bit more, and
Yep.
people are gonna go because they want to see those games. But if you play Sheffield United or Bournemouth or Watford or like then they lower it, so make sure like your stadium's still full, but it's more accessible to people to go.
Yep.
I'm surprised, like for example, City has not done that this year when we have a horrible season. Um, but I think it's because we basically have all the tickets sell. We'll see next year when the 3 year runabout comes in and see what
I still get mine.
really how many stayed in there. But I mean, those prices should not be getting higher, but they did.
Yeah.
The prices should not get higher. I think they should get actually lower. Because we see when we look into SeatGeek and stuff like teams that they have been around for a while, like Colorado's and Dallas and all that, you can find tickets for $9
Yep.
Supply and demand.
in some of them.
Yeah, I
For
think it's
us,
just with
we
time.
don't.
It's a
Like
new toy.
the cheapest you find is like $30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a new toy.
So,
So
gentlemen,
All right,
go ahead,
fellas.
Oscar, Robo.
that's how it goes.
No, I
Yeah.
was just saying like I gotta take out, but
Okay.
I don't know if we
You
got
need your
anything
warm
else to
milk
say.
too.
But
That's
yeah, I need a warm milk right now.
I don't know. I had
funny.
to text Charlie, but
I mean, Charlie's
He
probably
drank
got
it
the
all
hookup.
already.
Yeah, I mean, he's milk drunk. That's why he hasn't been on, right? No kidding.
wow. But yes,
Wait,
I think.
I want-
So you guys going to the Houston game? Well, I don't have
That's
to
what I was.
ask him.
I mean, I'll be there. I was just gonna talk about Houston for a real quick second, but I'll be there.
All right, knock it down.
So
Oscar,
yeah, Houston. Yeah, go ahead,
Oscar, you want to stay on or?
I mean, I don't have anything to say to evaluate Houston right now. I haven't seen him play much, and it's. I mean, for City at this point, it doesn't matter. We play a good game, we play a bad game. It's just it is what it is at this point. Somebody on our group on Santos were saying like, oh, maybe we'll get the boost of a new sporting director boost. Yeah.
Oh my! Hey,
I think
whatever,
I saw
whatever
that.
it takes.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that in a separate
So
Discord.
yeah, I know. I'm so good. I mean, we'll see you
I
out
mean,
there. We will have a Fiesta football as always. It actually is gonna be very fun. There's a lot of surprise coming in for that, so I will definitely recommend stop by. Um, I'll guarantee you there's gonna be really good food.
Yeah, that's
Always
a given.
is.
There might be some activities to do. So
Mm.
yeah, it will be very fun. So everybody obviously invited. Go to Marquee. Um, to Fiesta Football. We normally start at 4:30, so we'll be over there. And with that, I'm gonna say goodbye. Yeah,
You
Thanks,
fine.
Oscar.
it's
Sounds
a
like
school
everywhere
night,
I'm
and all my
stopping.
kids now. I really need to get my kids going in the morning. So
Yes,
it's
we
not
hear ya.
me, it's my kids. So
Of course, blame the
With that
kids.
say,
No.
he disappears.
Yeah.
See ya, Oscar. Thanks for
Yeah.
hanging with us,
oh
man.
yeah, and it was a PK.
Wow! And then he just walks away with that one.
Drops the mic, just walks out. That's great.
My guys.
Editing though,
See ya,
it's gonna be
Oscar.
clipped.
That has to be. So no, real quick, a word on Houston. So playing the Dynamo. They're honestly, Mo, they're probably a team that I actually do not like a lot. Karaskia, who used to play for them, really, and their goalkeeper, whose name I forget, but I just
It's no longer there though.
I know, but I still don't like them because of him. Yeah, he left. He's ruined that franchise. Even though I like their purple kits, I can't stand the Dynamo. But we were playing the Dynamo. All time we're 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss against the Dynamo. They've only scored 2 goals against us in the history of our 3 seasons, and they've never won in St. Louis. Both times they've been to St. Louis have been 3-0 wins for City at home. And the last one was in October of last year, where City won 3-0 in that game as well. Houston is winless in their last 5. They have 3 draws and 2 losses. Their draws were against Vancouver and Philadelphia, 2 of their draws, but they most recently are coming in off of a 2-1 loss at home against San Jose. They are a team that's led in scoring by Ezekiel Ponce, who had 7 goals. 7 goals. Jack McGlynn is their leading goal contribution player with 9. They are 12th in the West with a 7, 8, and 12 record. They have they do have an 8-point advantage on City, but again, have not been very good away from home. They've only got 3 wins on the road all season. And again, so history on the side of City, squad health, apparently, hopefully on the side of City. Might be the ideal time to come out to the park because all signs, at least heading into this, may point to a favorable outcome for the home side.
Yeah, and no, not much. Well, I might have to ask my good friend Hector what he thinks about um, Houston coming to St. Louis. But other than that, I I won't say I don't like him because it I got good people in there. I have my French countryman. I'm gonna have I have the last 2 times he came to St. Louis, he was injured. If he comes back to St. Louis again and he's injured, I'm gonna be pissed.
You talking about Amin Bassi?
Yes.
Okay.
If the
When you
third
said
time
Frenchman, he's the only.
I'll be pissed.
Well, let's check the
And then
MLS
Jeremy's
player
like, "Oh,
availability.
he's injured."
I mean, you never know. Oh, I don't know for sure, but I'll check see if anything from player availability. Let's see if this is. No,
See my
this is.
good friend
I hate the
Hector's
MLS's. Look, is he No Name FC, right?
Yes.
No.
No, insert name
No.
FC.
Oh, insert name FC. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. No, I don't mind the fans. It's just the players just really because Karaskia really got under my skin, man. I can't help it that
But they shipped him. So now
yeah, so maybe they can start over. We'll see. It was just but they always time wasted so bad too. It was just so oh god, it was grating because of some of the asinine time wasting they would. I don't know. Like I said, I can't stand it. Good news for you is it looks like at least for the last game, Amin Bassi was not hurt. They had Nelson Quinones, Brooklyn Reigns, and Andrew Terabell out. Franco Escobar, Gabe Segal, and Eric Shevchenko were all questionable at the weekend when they played, but they were not. So Amin Bassi may play. Yeah, I mean, hey, I wouldn't blame you. Let's see. Did he play real quickly? Did he play in the last game for them against San Jose? He was on the bench and did substitute into the game in the 82nd minute. So he didn't play long, but he did appear in their last game.
Make it to the bench. Just make it to the bench.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm optimistic. Again, I know we haven't had results, but I do think again, City tinted glasses on for a second. We've had good moments. I do think we're building something. I feel like this is a game that's winnable. I feel like this is a game where we should be able to walk in feeling a little confident and use that home pitch advantage, get Energizer Park pumped up to 10, and hopefully leave with 3 points.
I'm good with that. let's. I'll probably put a prediction of 2-0 for City.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm good. Maybe 3-1, 2-0, something like that. Yeah.
We need a clean sheet at home. That
Uh,
would be something else.
We're overdue.
Yes. All right, but
I
with that,
don't think I've got anything else.
no, that pretty much it. I think everything off our chest. So, but with that said, thank you all for joining for another episode of Top Corner Talk. Hopefully, Oscar did not offend you guys way too much with his penalty call out, but we might clip it if unnecessary. But with that said, thank you all, and we'll see you at Energizer Park on Saturday.
Let's go
Peace.
City.